at 9:11.
Okay, so yep, so the business meeting will be called to order, as Mark just said, 9:11. I am Shanda, your current president. Is there anybody online?
No.
Okay. We have the meeting minutes from our last annual meeting here. There's a couple edits that are already on here.
Well, I don't know when those were ever issued. We got the board meeting minutes and Chris said, I'm gonna follow up with some annual meeting minutes, but there's
This
one
is,
sentence. Oh, okay.
this is what we got. It was
Okay.
on there. So anyway, so there's it was recorded. One correction and then to go back into the recording and just find out who made the motion. So, do I have a motion to approve these meetings with the edits?
Well,
Sean makes the motion.
I'll
Scott,
second it.
second. Okay, whatever. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carried
Just for giggles, we don't have a quorum.
for the board, but this is the annual, so I have the members. So we'll,
You're right, action items, you're right, technically you're not supposed to even action items.
I'm sorry?
okay,
Technically not supposed to do action items.
Okay.
On the form. You can still do the meeting,
Oh,
okay,
but you can't actually take action.
okay.
okay. So, financial report, we currently have $64,233.50. That is not unrestricted. The majority of our pay is in payroll and wages. What do we have? $109,322.03 in wages, $283.28 in mileage. This is from January to present. And approximately $8,879 in unrestricted funds. So we have multiple grants going right now and DNR grants, lumberjack grants, several other non-WAMSCO grants. So that's pretty much all I have for financial update at this point in time. If you want to see any of the actual financial sheets, you can contact us and we'll be happy to send them to you. So
Well,
do we have,
Will Jessica issue an actual annual financial report?
I can have her do that. I'm taking them off of last month.
I know
Yeah.
that's what we're doing for this meeting, but I think as a matter of record, if it doesn't come today, if it comes in the next, several weeks, we really should say, okay, this is our formal report for.
Yep, only right now, today, we have to make a motion to file for this meeting, for the annual meeting, because we
Right.
don't have another annual meeting for another year. So I can have her do that to put it up there. That's the summary of it. So there's a summary and I will have I will have Jessica put it up there for our meeting minutes to add to it. Is there any motion that we can do to just file those?
Well, you made the motion, I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Opposed? Okay, the meat raffle tickets, we have those outside for meat raffle stuff, encouraging everybody to come and buy meat raffle tickets, support us and take some and sell some to your friends, family, neighbors, and anybody driving by. Walking their dogs, just stand on a busy street corner, just meat raffles.
I would propose that we publish performance weekly so that we know where we're at and we know we're gonna hit our goal. I'll be happy to, poll the board members weekly, or you can send me in your results at the end of every week. But I think we've got to stay ahead of it so that we stay ahead of it. Is that okay?
Okay, sounds good. That would be an action plan, so we can't do that. But we will for whatever, but we will do that. Okay, nomination election of WAMSCO officers. We're all up for a new position. Our VP position is vacant right now. Our secretary position, Mark would like to stay on the board, but would like somebody else to step up into the secretary position. And we don't have anybody else in here for board members, but hopefully later on today. So for right now, can I get a motion to accept the board as is and continue on for another year?
Not really. I would like to move out of this role, sometime this summer. And
Mhm.
so, however we record that is fine, but
Yeah, how we had that written in our meeting, in our bylaws, is that if you resign, we appoint somebody until the next time. So we can still do that, Mark. We just need to make sure we're good right now.
Okay, yep.
So motion to accept the board as is. Motion, second. Gary, hey, all in favor?
Who was the
Opposed?
motion and who was the second, Gary?
Gary's the motion, Scott, Sean is the motion and Gary is the second.
Okay.
So we're good with that and we'll ask for nominations for anybody that comes in here. We'll try to recruit them.
I got
So-
some rope in the car.
There you go. A Shawano Lake Planning Grant Action Plan. I don't know what that is for the annual meeting. That one seems like that should be on a regular
Fine.
meeting.
Yeah,
So-
move that to a regular meeting.
So
Doesn't need to be discussed today. If it does, you'll get by time to do it, don't it?
yeah, but we don't have a quorum for the board meeting and that seems like something that's just a WAMSCO.
It's an action item.
Yeah, yep. So, with that, we really don't have anything else, except for a really fun, and educational presentation in 20 minutes with all of our staff. So at this time, I will say that we take a break for 10 minutes until the staff come in and do their presentation. So we're on break for 10 minutes. Well, welcome everybody to the WAMSCO's annual meeting. The staff have got an awesome presentation for you with some guest speakers we're excited to hear about, or hear from. My name is Shanda. I am your president of the WAMSCO Waterway Association, Menominee and Shawano counties. We are now in existence for 10 plus years. Really excited to see what we've been up to. So I'm not going to take up. Thanks, Scott. So I'm not going to take up a lot more of your time because these guys have an awesome presentation and you don't need to listen to me speak. So go ahead. And the staff will all introduce themselves as they get up. So we've got a rock star crew.
Welcome, guys. I'm Baylie. I'm the Watershed Conservation Assistant with WAMSCO for this year. Kind of to start off, I'm just gonna go over a quick agenda for you guys so you know what to expect for today. So I'm gonna kind of go into a little bit about what WAMSCO is. And we're gonna go over 2025 projects and accomplishments that we completed last year, and then look ahead to this year on things that we're working on for this year, and then do some volunteer recognition and awards towards the end there, and then finish it off with some questions and discussion geared towards lake health. If any of you guys are part of the Lake Association, you can ask about anything that you'd like, or any questions that you have on what we covered today. After that, around 11:45, we're going to have Kori and I will lead you guys on an optional educational river walk. We'll be going around kind of showing in-person examples of what we talk about, and then there'll be the plant sale and tables out until around noon for you guys as well. So to kind of start, Shanda mentioned that we've been around for 10 plus years. WAMSCO was originally formed as a group in 2014, and we've officially been a nonprofit since 2016. We consist of our volunteer board of directors, 5 current staff members, and then lots of volunteers and members as well.
And an awesome intern this year too.
Yes, we included Remy in that number as well. She's helping out with us through UWGB as a cool program that they're doing. And overall, our goal is to improve local waterways. So things that we do to improve those local waterways, we'll go into depth on a lot of these later. But we do aquatic invasive species management, water quality monitoring, youth and community education, shoreline restoration projects, agricultural best management practices, grant management for lake associations, and project reimbursement for landowners and organizations. And over there, we have some examples of cool shoreline restoration projects that we do, but yeah. Now handing it off to Kori. She'll be going over what we did in 2025.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Okay. Okay, so like Baylie said, my name is Kori. I'm the administrator and aquatic invasive species coordinator for Shawano County and for WAMSCO. So I'm just going to be going over some 2025 accomplishments that we did last year. One of the things that we do for one of our AIS or aquatic invasive species grants is to do boat launch monitoring. So we'll go out there, we'll throw some rakes off the docks, reel them in and see what kind of invasive species we get. So some of the more common ones would be like Eurasian Watermilfoil, Curlyleaf Pondweed. We'll get zebra mussels quite a bit, banded mystery snail. Those are some of the common ones that we get. We did coordinate Clean Boats, Clean Water. So if you don't know what that is a statewide program where people are hired and also volunteers will go out and they'll sit at boat launches and then they'll just talk to boaters coming in and out of the lake about invasive species, making sure that they're cleaning off their boat and not transporting invasive species from one lake or river to another. We did WAVE and CLMN coordination. So what that is WAVE is Water Action Volunteers and CLMN is Citizen Lake Monitoring Network. And WAVE is just like monitoring of streams, whereas CLMN is lake monitoring. So volunteers will go out and they will get to sample water quality and they'll measure different parameters like dissolved oxygen, they'll like nitrates, let's see, they'll look at turbidity, or basically they'll look at like water clarity and stuff like that, and basically manage or get to see what the health of the river looks like. And that data is entered directly into DNR programs and gets featured on their website. So a lot of that sampling is done by just like volunteers like you guys. We did our Where's WAMSCO scavenger hunt, which is a scavenger hunt that we do for the community. People get to sign up online on our website or our social media, and they get to come up with a team name, and they have to look at the clues that we release over the course of a month. Every week we'll do 4 clues, one each week, and they'll basically have to figure out where our treasure box is hidden at 4 different parks around Shawano County. So once they do that, they just have to take a picture at each treasure box and then they'll send it to us and they're entered into a prize drawing. And we do offer some pretty big prizes. I think in the past couple of years, we've given out like a big blow up kayak and stuff like that. So it is coming up. The form is already up for this year's Where's WAMSCO. It starts June 19th. Yep. And then goes through like July 19th, I believe it is. So if you guys want to participate, it's free. You can win big prizes. It's really fun. It's a fun family thing. You should definitely sign up. Purple Loosestrife, that is a program that we do where we raise little beetles that only eat this invasive purple loosestrife plant. It is very pretty. That's why we brought it over. That's why it's all over now at this point. But at this point, we're just managing. So we raise these beetles to help manage that population. And then White Clay Lake is one of the lakes. I don't know if any of you know where that is. It's like on the east side, or excuse me, like a little towards the east side of the county. I think Shawano Lake drains into it, right? Yeah.
Or other way.
Or White Clay Lake drains into Shawano Lake, excuse me. So we actually go out there and we do like CLMN monitoring. So we're measuring the water quality there just because that is like a really high priority site that the DNR wants to do. So we've been doing that. We are really big into education. So our youth education, we did a lot of stuff with that. So you might have seen our mobile education trailer go out places. So it's got our big old logo. It's not our new logo yet, but our old WAMSCO logo on the side of it. And we get to take that to a bunch of different places around the county, around Shawano and Menominee County. And it's got tons of different educational stuff in there that we bring to schools and events where we get to teach kids how to do like water quality sampling, macroinvertebrate sampling. So that's like finding crayfish and bugs in the water and stuff. They love to do that. And then we also do tree plantings as well. And then we do an education event at the sturgeon tagging or spawning thing. So that was back in April. We did a little education for the kids there. And then we also participate in the Shawano County Youth Conservation Day program. The Land Conservation Department holds that, but we are a station there and we talk about invasive species for that one. And then community education, we really love to get involved with the community. So we attended brunch on the farm, a bunch of different farmers markets last year, and then also Youth and Lady Day at J&H Game Farm. And then we did a little new thing last year. We actually got a grant where we could do a bunch of different workshops, hold a bunch of workshops for different topics. So we did something with Lakeland Industries, that is an organization for developmentally disabled adults. And then we did aquatic plant identification paddle out on Moon Lake with the Shawano paddlers. We did a little workshop on soil health for home gardeners at Paulheim's. And then we also did a native plant workshop. We did that at Huckleberry Harbor last year, talked a little bit about the benefits of native plants, and we had Stone Silo Prairie Gardens from De Pere come with that. And then we also did a well water workshop. So we actually had some DNR folks come in and talk about the importance of well water health and making sure that people are aware of the different options that they can do to test their well water. 2025 was a really big year for awards and outreach. For statewide, we received a public engagement award from the Wisconsin Lakes and Rivers Partnership at the convention last year in, I think it was March or April 2025. And then they actually nominated us for another award through the North American Lake Management Society, or NALMS. And we did get awarded that. So we got to go all the way down to South Carolina to Myrtle Beach and accept that award. So that was really awesome. And they are, yes. So we are an internationally recognized organization. And so this is really cool for us. We're really excited about it. And that was for community education and outreach. And then we did a bunch of newspaper articles. We did an interview with Fox 11 on Gibson Island, which we will talk about later. And then had some coverage on the Y100 radio station for that too. In 2025, we did tons of restoration projects. We did over 12,000 square feet of native plantings. 585 feet of shoreline was stabilized and one seawall was removed on Shawano Lake. And our featured project, which we'll have some other people come up to talk about that a little bit, was Gibson Island. That's over on the Cloverleaf Lakes. We planted over 8,000 native plants. 475 feet of shoreline was stabilized on that island. And then 1,000 feet of ADA pathway was installed for anybody with mobility issues. And then we had so many volunteers come out to contribute over 1,000 hours of their time. So it was an awesome community project. So with that, I will invite Joy and Chris to come up to talk about the Gibson Island project. Thank you, guys.
I'm Joy. I'm a member of the Gibson Island Stewardship Committee, and the Gibson Island Project is there. And the background is that in 2003 to 2006, a company wanted to develop it. And I'm telling you this because if you see properties that are going to be developed, don't give up. Sometimes it works. And we're one example. It took 3 years to fundraise and to get around all the process. And we successfully were able to purchase it. We received a water and conservation grant from the DNR, which $416,000 as the #1 project in the state that year. And that was pretty inspiring. Then we had, in order to have public access, because one of the things that you need to make sure that there's access to, we have our ADA trail now. We built a boardwalk, and that was from the parking lot to the island, so that the island was totally independent, that people could get to it and come back to, off from it anytime during the day. The island property is 25.6 acres. It has approximately 5,000 feet of frontage. And that is all natural shoreline and was all natural shoreline. And that was one of the reasons we were such a high rating on the DNR grant process, is that it was, and you know, lakes, natural shorelines are becoming more and more rare. So it started as a grassroots project. In order to get grants, you need to have a municipality or a governmental connection. So then we bought it and then we gave it to the town of Belle Plaine. So it's owned by the citizens of Belle Plaine. Then we have this, the interesting part is, and if you ever get involved in anything like this, make sure you do this. Because in order to get the grant, you have to propose a land management plan. And so we wrote the land management plan, and that is a document that is agreed upon by the town of Belle Plaine. And we set up a stewardship committee that I and Chris are both on. And then it's also documented with and preserved with the DNR. The land management plan is an agreement that protects the property. And you'd think that that would never be necessary, but it is for one world on. Who knows how that it will never be built on, but it could become something different that is totally against what the land management is for. So the land management plan is like the dream of what you want this property to stay as. And a lot of us have involvement in the area like Navarino, their nature reserve. They have a dream how that will be preserved. And so these documents seem like work, but they're important so that your voice continues to go into the future and can create a guide for it. Today is a lot about the health of the shorelines. You can see our shoreline here is the isthmus. That was an intermittent area of high water and low water. The island was, of course, Native American, and then a family Curtis. Then it went to Gibson. Then it went to the Boy Scouts, and now to the Belle Plaine. Gibsons would have their cow out on the island in the summer when they lived out there. They would either swim across here, or they would get the cow to walk along with the path here, which would sometimes be underwater, so the cow would swim with them. But then he dug out the bank where you're coming into the isthmus down here and filled that all in with sand. Sand is not very stable. So the picture before this was the mounding of the bank on this Pine Lake, on Pine Lake side. It was getting narrower and narrower. The Grass Lake side was a very happy place for muskrats, and they would burrow into the isthmus. The ice wedging over time, not like ice wedging you think of on Shawano Lake where the ice buckles. Our ice goes under and then mounded up the soil. So the isthmus was getting narrower and narrower. With all the combination was becoming less stable. We had a local citizen, Pete Chisema, who was the driving force of getting an ADA trail. The ADA trail was the spark then that we needed to stabilize the isthmus. WAMSCO crew came in with the plan in the DNR, and it ended up with rock, not a natural shoreline, but approved and in just the designated area of the isthmus so that it can remain stabilized. That all established a more secure future for public access to the island. Previously, as we were working out there, people now come out and I ask them, do you like this trip? Personally, I like the woods and the little tiny trail and the grass growing up. So this was a shock for me because it's, an 88 trail. But the people now you can see the wheelchairs out there, the walkers out there, and people who are just saying they like it because they feel more stable. So they come out more often. It goes down, around, loops, and comes back so they can feel a natural path and to the boardwalk, all the way to the parking lot. So it's, I have to admit, it's pretty nice for a lot of people now instead of just me.
And half the island still is just a natural trail.
Yes, off the 88 trail, then it's kind of a mess right now because of our spring weather. We haven't done it all taken care of yet. So the WAMSCO plan and the DNR, their guidance, you guys did a great job keeping us going. It's safe. It's that we have decreased the erosion. We have increased the sense of community around the island, had great publicity that they sponsored and arranged. And we have an ADA trail that is established and being used. We have biologs and rocks and things that we never thought about. We had a big bank that was, when there was a big storm, it would just run down there. So we put biolights, and now we have the water switch back and forth and reduce the run of erosion, that energy and motion. And it's working great. And people can keep still walking. Chris is going to tell you about the plant side. I did the land side, she does the plant side.
Yeah.
She's awesome, you guys. She kept pushing us. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna talk about plants and I'm not an expert at all. I just like them. Okay. So I saw this quote from the Grinch and maybe you've heard it. These native plants, they grow without irrigation, they grow without hose, they grow without fertilization, pesticides, or lows. And that's kind of what we like, just to have it be natural. And Gibson Island has it all. It has the wetland by the boardwalk, it's very wet. It has dry sand like pavement, dry banks, it has woodlands, and even a little bit of openness now too, because of trees falling down. So it's a little piece of God's creation. Kind of like the Garden of Eden, but we can call it the Garden of Kids. And the reason we do native planting, you can just kind of scroll through who's ever running that. Say you, Court? Yeah, okay. This is the boardwalk, which we didn't touch that. We pulled a few invasives out of there, but that's about it. So its native plants are lower maintenance. They work together so well. They can work in drought, poor soil. They're tolerant. You don't have to water them all the time. We did last fall because they were new, but they're really, really tough. And the plants that we planted are Midwest because we all have unique areas of plantings, and Midwest is unique in itself. They resist disease and insects way better. Some are deer resistant, some are not, which we find that out. And it's a web of life. They connect together with critters and bees and pollinators and everything. So, and again, we don't have to waste water on them. And it's a check and balance of things. So on the boardwalk, which I think was up already, wasn't it?
Yep.
There's a lot of ferns. That's a calla. Okay, you can keep scrolling through there. Lots of different ferns. I don't know the names of them. Keep going. And then this is bee lily, which I love. Got a little yellow flower. That's fringed polygala. We had a really bad patch of black locust and knotweed. And the the stewards worked really hard on that to get that all out, and now things like that French Belgala are coming up all over the place. And marsh marigolds, because it's so wet, the marsh marigolds are really did well this year. Okay. And then when they tore out the bad stuff, they started putting shrubs in, and Joy's always disappointed in the shrubs, but she's got to give them credit. They're coming. And not all of them made it, but a lot of them did. So that will help that little bank there before the Isthmus. Excuse me. Okay. Then you can keep going. We have May apples, but that patch has gotten smaller as the trees have gotten bigger. I think that's why. And then, of course, on the right is garlic mustard, which I hate to get the slide off of there. It's a pain. These were here before. We have the lycopodiums and a rattlesnake mint plantain, which is just so cute. Okay, you can keep going. And then, or I think we've done 10 phases of trying to help with erosion, because there's this steep bank that's just sand. And we tried a whole bunch of things. We had native plants donated by people. We planted those. We bought some, planted them. So I was a teacher. My school kids would dig up stuff from our prairie at school and take it up. We took it out there and planted it. We've tried a lot of seeds. And like cup plants, things, anything to help that steep hill get some plant life on it. It's just basically bare. It was. And we looked for things with deep tap roots, like butterfly milkweed. We had nodding onion out there, anise, all those things can grow and spread. And then some of the things that we planted, the 88 trail was going right over them. So Shanda calls me one night and says, Chris, gotta get out there. They're gonna bulldoze it all. So we tried moving all that, and I found some of them that made it through the transfer process, but I keep looking. We'll see. Hopefully a lot of it. So we tried all that. We had 10 phases. And then this happened, which through WAMSCO, we got all these plants, not just one or two here and there. And so we started in. Okay, you can keep going. Oh, this was just, I found this morel the other day. There's like this big. Yeah, it's on the Isthmus. I didn't tell anybody about it. Yeah, somebody made me talk about it, but it's massive. And those are sedges or reeds or something from Shanda's house. She's like, just go over there and dig some up, because a big storm was coming. And we had nothing, just that, especially that one slope was just coming down a big hill and then this huge area of sand. So we dug them up, and your friend, was it Colleen or something like that? Yeah, we're digging those up and put them in the ground, about 150 of them. We split them up and put them in there. Some of those are coming back, thank God. But we had moved them eventually, but we thought we were gonna get a big storm, and then the storm never came. Okay, keep going. And so when Joy's talking about the path, it was like a little deer path. And we could see all this activity over there, but we couldn't get on the island. And then that one night we all went over there and just about cried. I mean, literally tears coming out, because our little path had turned into this. And you can see this bank. I mean, it's sand, and we were afraid it was gonna fall in. And some spots I could reach my whole arm and into that hillside. So Shanda came up with the idea of making this wall go ahead. And so they drilled all these holes in, cedar logs, and you can just keep flipping through this. These are all the people that came and worked constantly. Mulch, we put mulch behind it. Keep going.
There are people who now hate the word mulch.
Yeah. And boy, we have another opportunity for you coming out.
Yeah, Kori on with the shovel. Kori, you can do that. This little thing, but she's way stronger. So, okay, we just kept mulching, putting these poles in.
We put mulch behind
The wall, yeah. And then these are my grandboys, 6 years old, 8 years old, and another 8-year-old. We had 8-year-olds to people in their 80s. And so we had a great range of people, and families coming out after church to come and help. I mean, it's just crazy. Then we started the planting, and that one is big leaf aster. That should spread, should make a nice green carpet. You can see the mulch. And then we had to water everything. And you'd think we're on the island, we should have water, but it's steep slope to get to the water. That was a whole nother process. And one of our stewards figured out a pump with, I don't know how many hoses we had out there. and got it through the lake up to a station. I don't know this stuff. Shanda does sprinklers and hauling them into big drums. And we had 7, 8 drums of water. And then
Can't
people
remember,
would
6
come.
or 8.
Yeah, people would come and 8, I
Eight
think, we
barrels.
were 7. People were in charge of one drum and then they'd come out to sprinkle can water every plant. So 8,000 plants with a crew of people. Okay, where am I? Sorry, I got a little wound up there. And I think Kori said it was a 475-foot wall that they built. And then we put plants on both sides of the trail there. And we use these silk socks, and maybe you guys are familiar with those, but that was interesting. You had to split it, water the plant, put it in there, and then hope it grows. And these are some that I just went out there the other day. These are recent pictures. And this latest dry spell has kind of hurt some of them, so I'm hoping they will come back. They looked better a few weeks ago than they do now. And then they also planted stuff on either side of the silk socks into the mulch, and those are almost doing better right now than in the silk socks. So we'll see what happens. But the silk sock can hold the shoreline too. Okay, keep going. This is the bad spot that we had so much trouble with, this one. And, but things are looking good there. You put the plants in, like under the sandbags, the biobags. People were there filling those bags up. I mean, it's just a lot of hard work. And then that was a bad corner of the trail, so we stacked them up there, and those were really going well. Okay. These are just more, this is the harebell in the middle. Those have come up by themselves there on that steep, dry shoreline. Or it's not shoreline, it's the bank. Yeah. Okay. These are just some more things that are coming up. Okay. This, I think, is Queen of the Prairie, and I really like Queen of the Prairie. I'm excited about it. Hopefully that's what it is.
It's green, so I
And there's some roses coming up, and they weren't multifloral according to my app. So I think we did plant some roses. I remember that. And then the bee balm's doing really well. There's a little, but they're starting to bloom already. And then we do have some lupines out there. And there used to be a whole bunch out there like 30 years ago. But I found another patch. There's like 4 patches now. So that's good. I think all the watering last year helped them. Okay. White vervain, some more plants, keep going. This little guy, Periruellia, is wild petunia. That is really good, really looking healthy. And then I did find a phlox. Hopefully some more of them will pop up. Okay. Pussy toes is on the island. And then see, I kind of like that Queen of the Prairie. Can you tell? I have a few pictures of it, but the pussy toes is really spreading as it gets drier, and that's a good shoreline. It's tough. Okay. Oh, and that's a wild strawberry. Shanda really wants this living wall, so we have a lot of that on the wall, and even inside the wall. I don't know how it survived, but it did. And of course, red columbine. Okay, that's another lupine patch. You can see that hill though; it's almost straight up sometimes. So trying to keep plants alive there, and then it has a lot of full sun. Okay. More spurge, got a lot of flowering spurge on the hillside too. That was there already. Okay. Then people are donating trees, and then we planted a lot of bur oak. And bur oak resists wind, snow, ice really well. So that's what we need on that island. It gets hit hard and stuff. Okay, I think that's it.
any questions?
Yeah, do we have any questions right away for them? I mean, we do have some time at the end too.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that, when you look at the plants and stuff that are there, when you're doing a big native project, the first year they peak, the second they creep, and the third they leaf. So it's about 3 years before you really see, you know, what you're gonna end up with at the end. So all of these little plants there, another 1 to 2 years are gonna be really full and vibrant.
That was my question.
Yeah, what's the rate? I know, and then we're planting all these little plants, you know, one by one by one, and so what's the survival rate? And it's, oh, we'd be so happy if it's like 50%.
I say it is 50.
Yeah.
Every
I just
four
wanted
ago, I'd say
them all.
more than 50, but
A lot of them still come back, so they got good
That's
runs,
what I
yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got good runs. Cause when we went out there, I was gonna say it was probably in the closer to like 50-70%.
Yeah.
Here.
Here,
I've only gone a couple of the net. I'm surprised.
we've planted cut plant out there for years, and cut plant, if you're familiar, really coarse, bristly, and my gosh, deer eat that like crazy. You would think that that would tickle their tongue and let they leave it alone, but
Yeah.
no, it's, I don't know.
They don't ever really kill anything, they just eat it. I mean, the stuff where they put it.
Right?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So have you noticed a lot more activity, those that live there on a regular basis? Have you seen the trail now, the way it is and all the improvements? Have you seen a lot more activity in the
Always,
parking area? Yeah.
yes, always a garden.
There was always hiking, but now it's expanded, and I think that since it was on television and stuff, that asked people where they're from, it's like Gillette and Bondwell, and people are coming from further away, which is
So a lot
increased the
for
number.
families, because they did push, baby buggies.
Sure.
Which I never thought about actually, but it's always been really strong.
Mhm. Before you could on little, but it's hard work, so you can do it. Yeah, no. And it also helps with, I mean, I think the mosquitoes might be a little bit less when you're on open, because it's all much more open as the 80s trail and sun's brighter. I think it's very dry there too, so, yeah.
Thank you guys for those great presentations. Up next, we have Scott Frank. He's gonna speak a little bit on SCWAC, which is another thing we were working on in 2025.
All right, so like Baylie mentioned, I'm Scott Frank, working in the Land Conservation Office for Shawano County. So a few years ago, actually, I'll say 10 years ago or more, roughly around there, the state of Wisconsin had created a program for producers, for farmers to actually work as a group, work as kind of a team, bring partners together and have the farmers learn from each other and put conservation on the ground that way. Stay away from regulatory approach, just have them kind of find solutions together. And so there's a slide that we'll get to that kind of shows the status of where Wisconsin is currently with these groups. I kind of thought it would form naturally in our county. I thought we'd end up having a farm or two inquire about it. And we never really pushed it. And it never happened here. So we had a meeting, this is actually one of our planning meetings of the group actually starting, but we ended up having a workshop about 16 months ago, a year ago in February, that was focused on soil health for agriculture, but we also had a couple guest speakers. We had the coordinator from the producer-led program for Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, and then she had coordinated with two existing producer groups, one that's been around for a while, maybe even from the beginning. So they've been established for at least 8 years. Then we had a new group that just formed up by Anago for Langley County. And they spoke. So we had a bunch of farmers in the room at our meeting and we gave the pitch on here's an opportunity. Well, by the end of the meeting, we had a handful of farmers come up and say, yeah, we'd like to do something like this here. So as we went from February to August, we got together. We started with eight farms that were diligent. We met multiple times and we came up with a grant application. And we were fortunate enough to get selected. Not everybody got to get selected. And so our first year is 2026. So here we are. We met. And again, so the goal is, focus on, we all have a role to play to try to improve water quality. You saw the good work that WAMSCO is doing. WAMSCO is a partner in our producer-led group. So we, in our grant, we said that we're gonna end up working in January, February, March, and April to kind of plan what we want to focus on in 2026. And it's this year is mainly outreach, but there's also practices that the farms wanted to try, others that wanted to expand on what they're currently doing. And so the Shawano County Watershed Advisory Council, that's the name, kind of like, it's like an acronym, but we say SCWAC. And so that's the state program kind of wanted us to come up with an acronym. And we have not come up with a logo yet. I mean, we got a draft logo, but we haven't finalized the logo yet. But that's our next item. So we can get some swag, and like WAMSCO's gotten their logo and their shirts and things and hats for the farms. But yes, we formed we formed last year, officially get started this year. And I'll kind of continue on and we'll see what's going on. So like I mentioned, so producer led, there's 49 groups that are funded in the state currently. You'll see the irregular shapes. Many of them are, the state kind of wanted you to focus on a watershed area, but we have 8 farms that are not really in, they're kind of spread across the county. We've got some down by Marion, we've got some down by Navarino, we got some up by Pulsifer, Cecil, Green Valley area. So it's not really contiguous all in one watershed. But we were told you can do a county-wide boundary and just name all the watersheds that they're in. So you can kind of see how where Shawano is, it's got the rigid boundaries of Shawano County for the most part. So that's our group. Like I mentioned, so it provides an environment for the farms that's, like I say, a lower stress environment. They kind of work, they kind of share. It's really been fun to see how they've, over the last 10 months, interact at the meetings with each other. They're opening up so much more and willing to share what they're doing and what they want to try. So it's been fun. I'll go to the next slide. So here's our main partners currently. The group over in, so we have 2 groups that came. There's a group with the Big Oak Plain watershed in Marathon County that's really established. Their list of partners is really lengthy. So we've got something to shoot for, but it's, again, our core supporters currently, our office with land conservation in the county. WAMSCO is right there with us. Extension, I'm not sure if anybody knows Scott Royce, but Extension's kind of done he's our crops and soils agent. He handles 4 counties. It used to be where we had a crops and soils agent almost in every county. And so, but the good thing is Scott makes a priority to work in all 4 counties that he covers. So we're lucky to have him. Golden Sands, Resource Conservation Development, so Golden Sands RC&D. They've got a focus area. One's invasive species, but another one they focus in is on grazing, working with farms to transition to grass or work with beef operations to have that year-round cover, which is important for erosion control. So we got them as a partner. Demonstration farm networks. So this is similar to producer-led, but it's on the federal side. The Natural Resources Conservation Service through USDA has had a demonstration farm network program, I think, since about 2017. We currently have 2 networks in the county. One that's with the Upper Fox Wolf watershed area, and then one that's called the Green Bay West Shore, which covers, we have the Pensacola River watershed and the Suamico. That's pretty much from like Bondwell east towards Green Bay. And then the other one, the Upper Fox Wolf, is basically the Wolf River. Pretty much covers 70% of our county is the Wolf River Basin. So yeah, we've been working with those groups. We've got multiple farms. Actually, Gary Talkin here in the audience, his family's farm was our representative for the demonstration farm network in the Upper Fox since its beginning. with Tuck and Harmony Valley, so they've been really good to work with. And then DAPCAP, so they're the suppliers of the funding for the program overall. Our member farms, like I mentioned, so we've got, I think it's seven listed here. We did have one farm that kind of dropped out, has not been participating, which is all right. You kind of get into it and it's like, well, what's the commitment going to be? And so we actually established as the farm organization, our farm group, they said, well, at least if you want to be a member, you need to at least attend 50% of the meetings. So I'd say the one that dropped out has not been attending, which is fine. But here's some of our core group. You can see we've got a good mix. We got Christensen's farm. We got a good mix of dairy and also cash crop. We got hogs in here. We've got grazing. We've got a farm that's doing completely no-till for many years. So pretty diverse groups. We got a really good group to start with. And they're across, like I said, across the county. The conservation practices that they're doing. Anybody ever seen seed being spread by a drone or fertilizer being spread by a drone? It's pretty cool to see that technology being integrated here in Shawano County. Actually, with cover cropping with a drone, you know, Tompkins have done that a few times now and they actually have had some success. It's really reliant on getting timely moisture. So you're spreading that basically seed aerially, and it just lands on the plants, it lands on the corn or the soybean leaves, falls to the soil surface, and you need some moisture to help that seed to germinate. You're not actually incorporating that seed in the ground. Cover cropping and I guess the timing, there's some pictures in here, we'll show a little bit more detail on some of these, but cover cropping by interseeding, that is done mostly on corn, and you're taking and planting that, just like it says, interseeding between the corn rows, and you're doing that when that corn is about a foot high. So as we get here towards 4th of July, there's a unit that they pull right behind tractor, and you're going between the rows to incorporate that, whether it be generally it's a mixture of a cocktail mixture of sometimes it's got a wheat or a rye in it, but it's also got a mixture of forbs as well. So it's not meant to, most times not meant to be a forage for them, but sometimes they'll actually, depending on if they've got that field fenced or if they put a temporary fence up, they may end up grazing cattle on it once, say, corn silage comes off in September, and that crop's been interseeded in July, so it's been actually growing, but being shaded out for a month and a half or so. But once it gets established, it's got a nice protected zone to grow in, and that corn silage comes off, it gets light, it grows robustly, as long as you got continued moisture, and then they'll put their cows out or beef cattle on it or steers and get some forage value out of it.
Are any of those plants nitrogen fixing plants?
Some are. There's some clovers that they'll put in as well. Cover cropping, yeah, so that's after crop harvest. So there's also putting like a wheat or a rye in after the corn silages, and that's actually then going ahead and drilling that crop in. Or they've also done it with drones, aerial seed after the corn silages come off. So that's, putting in middle to late September. No-till planting crops. So Dave Lodge has been a farm that's been doing no-till for, he said, over 25 years on his farm out by Marion or Caroline. I think who else is doing no-till? I think Joe Nishke's doing a field of no-till. And then there's Wagner's farm to do a bunch of no-till. Planting perennial grass mixtures in low-producing fields. So actually, this has also been a challenge with alfalfa can get killed out. Alfalfa is a crop that you get typically 3 or 4 years or maybe even more. Once you establish it, you get that many crops out of it. But depending on winter conditions or, if you don't get enough snow cover or protection for that alfalfa crop, or if you get melting and refreezing and rain events and then freezing in March, and you can actually have that crop kill out and not make it through. And then it's really expensive to establish that alfalfa crop. So you really want to get that 4 years out if you can. There's farms that are trying, actually getting away from alfalfa and going into some perennial grass mixtures to get that forage and actually have that longer lasting durability from year after year. And, they're also targeting lower producing fields with it too. Rotational grazing, you've got one farm that does that a lot. They've been doing it, Adamski's over by Pulaski, been doing it for a couple of decades. So we've got some good advocates for these practices in our group. Low disturbance manure applications. There's multiple ways to apply manure. This is these large farms. Most farms now have got a waste storage system, which is liquid manure. So you need to find ways to safely apply that manure and get it into the ground. But you also want to not have to work the soil any more than you need to. And so there's different toolbars that they'll put. You've seen these drag line, these hoses that are laid across fields, and then they'll basically hook up the tractor to that hose, and they'll have a toolbar implement on the back of it. Sometimes it's maybe a bunch of discs, and that manure is being placed in front of the disc, and the disc behind it's kind of working in. Then there's also a toolbar that has some deeper shanks on it. That's actually going a little bit deeper and injecting the manure. And then there's also just a surface application that the farms will do. And then they go ahead and maybe disc it in afterwards. But low disturbance, the idea is to only be working like that top 2 to 4 inches, and not to, overwork it and create a situation where you can have runoff events happen and your soil erosion, and you don't want that manure to run off either. So you want a good incorporation of that manure. So the toolbars are expensive though. And so for a farm to buy it on their own isn't the easiest thing. So it's been good that a number of these farms have custom manure haulers that come. And then they've been purchasing these toolbars there's also cost share. These are again cost share practices that they can get a per acre payment to do these conservation items. And that helps cover the cost of some of these contractors to have these toolbars. Keith cattle rotational grazing. So this is a picture of Adamski's. We did a farm tour at their place. I believe it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just, let's say, continuous cover. And again, so that's really good way to protect our soil. We're trying to make a push that way, but there's, again, you still need to produce corn, you still need to produce soybeans, but we can intermix grass cover on as much acreage as we can, better off will be as well. So this is going to be a rye. This would have been probably last fall, like maybe October, middle end of October of a picture. This is like a month of growth. And so going into the winter, the idea of this crop is to have it be a living root and be established all the way until the following spring. The farm can then either, one of two things, they can either terminate it in the spring with by spraying it off, or they can actually go ahead and take a cutting off it for forage. And then they can basically no-till their crop into it. And if there's any regrowth, they can go ahead and spray that off. Or they can do low disturbance manure application on it in spring as well if they need to. But again, having that living root, and also this scavenges a lot of nutrients as well. So it pulls up excess nutrients, reduces that nitrogen from wanting to leach into our groundwater, and retains that soil, keeps it in place to reduce erosion in times when it's could be exposed completely to the elements. So yeah, good practice. Here's what that cover crop drone seeding can look like. So this is, the corn at this stage is, we're probably looking here at the middle of August, early August, middle of August. And you kind of see that there's some leggy growth in there because of lack of sunlight. But as soon as that corn gets harvested around Labor Day. Or there's so after, and if we can get a nice shot of moisture with it, it just wants to take off. And so this, like I say, this gives us that living ridge. A big difference between this and having nothing there on that soil surface once the corn silage comes off. So this is a really good practice. Educational events. Again, so this is actually, this group, our producer-led group, SCWAC, is education focused and learning from each other focused to get conservation on the ground and bring others into the group as well. Both non-farming partners and additional farms is the goal. So we've got this year currently there's 4 events planned. 2 of them have the exact dates already figured out. There's the flyer for one of them here coming up on July 9th on looking at your pasture and how to do renovation and recovery of your pasture. So it's a pasture walk. They're talking about forage mixes, pasture plant IDs, bale grazing, interseeding, and overwintering and soil fertility. So there's all of our partners. It'll be a good event over at Adamski's over by Pulaski area. And then there's a grass forage identification field day. I believe that's gonna be at Neil Christensen's. He's the one that's really focused on grass. He's actually gotten rid of all his alfalfa as part of his rotation and forage for the cows. Just hadn't had enough success with it over the years, or challenges with trying to avoid winter kills. So he's transitioned to grass for that. Then we got a cover crop seed field day coming up in July. Mainly just to see the varieties of different seed mixtures you can do and how to apply them. And then a low disturbance manure application following winter wheat. Winter wheat comes off typically the end of July, early August. So it's an opportunity for farmers to put manure on the land, and we're gonna showcase. I think it might be at Wagner's. It all depends on trying to work with their custom applicator to see how that can fit in. But I think they're gonna already be on the farm to do manure application in August. So I think that's how it's gonna fit. So watch for those. WAMSCO helps us out with some social media stuff too to promote these. We've recently got a Facebook page in the last year and put stuff out there. It's not me, it's my staff. I'm not the technology guru for social media. So, but and we're also going to focus on doing some individual mailings on these things. We found that we're missing the boat if we're just thinking that social media is the way to get the word out. So next slide. Hopefully we get to the recruiting members. Yeah, so recruiting active farms. Actually, the goal in the application was each farm is supposed to reach out to five farms that they know to try to bring people into the group. And if you're not a farm but want a partner, please reach out. There could be opportunities to be a part of this. Our next grant is due in September. It's an annual grant. There's many of these groups that are, some of them don't even have to apply for this. They apply minimally for this grant. It's a maximum of $40,000. We ended up getting just roughly around $20,000 our first year. But there's many of these organizations or groups that get more self-sustaining on other grant sources and other donations to support them besides just this. So, but we are going to continue looking at the next cycle. And Jacob Bittner in my office, or our office for land conservation, is the main contact. He's actually got a family get together this weekend up by Crivets, so I'm pinch hitting for him today, and yeah, that's our group. Any question?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
So this group has been part of WAMSCO's vision for 10+ years.
I mentioned that, yeah.
And it's just got to make you feel fantastic to finally push the thing, across the starting gate.
Yes.
And to really pick up some momentum. So, I mean, that's just a tribute to the power of persistence. So.
You don't want to see for the cover crop.
Yeah.
The purpose for that is that just to get a head start on.
Yeah.
So that's important to get, sort of late to the crop and go off, and I think that is, that you can plant it early and get a better response from everything, but.
Well, actually, you get a lot better response from doing what do we need?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Sorry.
So actually, drone seeding can be hit and miss, just because, you're not gonna get that soil seed contact like you would, you're not gonna get the amount of germination, so you actually probably have to put maybe more seed out to help get it, versus if you're actually gonna drill that seed in, then you're gonna get a really good stand, like what that rye or that wheat crop looked like, you're gonna get really good establishment. But that drone seeding it can be less expensive. It also can, or it does, limit and reduces that one less tillage pass or one less disturbance of that soil that you're doing as well, to try to get a crop established. And then the timing, it takes time to go over that field for that farmer to go ahead and drill that seed in after putting, or taking it off after silage, it's time and money. And this is a way, actually co-ops used to do this, just with a high boy, they'd go down and distribute it. This is another way, drones have gotten to be so much more capable now for fertilizer and seed application. But moisture is your key. If you don't get moisture, you will get very sparse germination. So you need if you get a 1/2 inch rain, like 2 days or after you seed, you got a really good shot. And what's one thing actually interesting is we've seen that after they take the silage off, after say you drone seed in August, you take the silage off, where those tractor tracks have gone and pushed that seed into the ground a little bit, you'll see patches just show up. So it's really it's key to try to get that soil seed contact and moisture and pounding little raindrops, kind of looking things in, and that's all that seed needs. But yeah, it's hit and miss. It can be. Yeah.
The biggest thing is just to keep the soil covered the most days of the year. And that's another thing with your native plants, when we're planting our natives, is, depending on the seed, some of them need some light for germination, they're real tiny. But one of the best times to spread just your seed mixes or a lot of your seed is before your first snowfall. Because then you have the snow coming, it's gonna make that contact, it's gonna push that seed in. And then when things thaw, it's gonna get wet, the seed's gonna germinate while it's in there. And it also covers it up when the bird's taking it all right away. So, that's a good time for that. And a lot of them need full stratification, so, and the win-win. Good, you did some purpose?
Do you ever work with either of the tribes in the Island or Stockbridge? Because I live in Gresham, and they have a bison farm up there, and they do rotational grazing, and it's a beautiful operation, and it's a great thing to see them bike by quite a bit, see which field the bison and we're interested in that. And we've also, I'm on a lake association, we've also looked at them to get some experts to come out and do certain things in houses that are like, things that they do, particularly Stockbridge, that they do it super helpful with the environment. Thanks.
Yes.
An idea.
Yeah, we
We
don't.
also have a lot of money to spend on things that our little lake association did not, so they were about not money.
Yeah, the Stockbridge Muslim Community is a really good partner. Not, like I say, we don't spend as much time as we probably could, just because we got so many irons in the fire.
Yeah.
But they do, we work back and forth on grant applications, letters of support for grant applications. And then also they're, like WAMSCO is at our field days for 5th grade students. They've got a site set up on Wilson Creek. They do a aquatic macroinvertebrate and fish species tutorial and exercise with students there. So, and then we have a summer tour that we do every year as well, with our committee and partners. We've featured Stockbridge, some of their work as tour stops. Stuff they're doing on fish. They have like a fish passage, like with culverts that are placed wrong with elevations. So aquatic movement from one area to another on a stream. They've got sturgeon. No, not necessarily sturgeon, but they're looking at trout.
Sturgeon around in.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, that spring and fall when they.
Their items are more of a trout focus, I believe, for that, the trout streams up there in both Red Springs and downtown Barley. But yeah, and it's really uplifting to see all the work that they're doing. But like I said, they're also focused on those two townships mainly, but then they also look at the upstream parts of that, and as water comes into the reservation lands and then exits, they're seeing to make sure that water quality is staying good in the reservation land.
Yeah, I've been really impressed.
Yeah.
I like the sensation.
And we need to do more with them, so, yeah, thanks.
All right, next up, I'm Alexis Trinko, the Capacity Building Outreach Specialist for WAMSCO, and I'm going to go into what our future plans are for this year. So for AIS and water quality, a lot of the things that Kori went over will be continuing those activities. A lot of things we do are annual activities we do every year. So we'll be continuing those efforts, those events, and monitoring. Our Where's WAMSCO event that Kori had also talked about, we're looking at expanding that this year. So we're getting new equipment. We're trying to make it super awesome for the community. We'd love if people could get involved. I do have a poster up here for the event. And also this year, we are doing live monitoring in our waterways. So we have a buoys out there. And if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to our website where we have the live data streaming on there. And for 2026, we're looking at getting more buoys in the water. For education in 2026, we already had a convention workshop at the Wisconsin Lakes and Rivers Convention. We talked about our youth education programming, so we got to work with some great folks who are working out there with youth and teaching them what things we've done with our youth programming. We're going to continue doing all of our annual programs at Brunch on the Farm, Youth and Lady Day, Farmers Markets, all of those outreach events. And then this year we do have some additional education funding, so we're going to try to host some more events or attend more events, provide more education for the community. And we're especially looking to work more with Lakeland Industries and bridge the gap in our community. For outreach this year, again, continuing our annual efforts. Building on that, we did start our newsletter. So there is a sign-up sheet outside if anyone here isn't on our monthly newsletter. We are working on that. It is going to have updates on what WAMSCO is doing, upcoming waterways events, volunteer opportunities, and then 2 of them out of the whole year are going to be focusing on aquatic invasive species and things that are happening in our lakes. And then also this year, we're looking at bumping up our membership. So we also have sign-up forms outside at our table for our memberships. We're looking at getting more folks involved. We'd love to have more input from more lakes in our community. So getting more folks speaking up. If you've noticed, a lot of our projects happen on lakes where we have board members. So more folks getting involved will help us spread out those projects a little more, and hopefully we can get projects around more lakes. So our big upcoming project this year is our education garden. This is down by Cloverleaf Lakes. We have Long Lake right next to it. And this property is just northwest of Long Lake. It's a 3-acre property owned by the town of Belle Plaine. And this project is currently underway. So we've already started construction here. Here's our little map of how we have going on right now. So we're putting in this education garden. Is going to showcase plantings, rain gardens, shoreline practices that can be installed. We'll have educational signage to go with those practices to teach people about them. So we have the yellow trail going through. It's going to be our ADA pathway. And then we have some additional blue foot pathways. We'll have a pond area over on this side that'll have our showcase for our waterways practices. And then the pink is going to be our plantings and rain gardens. The star over by the roadway is going to be a kiosk where we'll have lots of materials that folks can take home with them about native plants and some of these practices. We're going to get some seed packets in there so people can take native seeds home with them. And like I said, the educational signage, we'll have signage throughout the walking trails and the pond. So that's our big project. We do have some upcoming volunteer days on June 15th and 16th in the afternoon. Those are going to be our big planting days. But this project is currently underway and it's our big focus this year. Some other restoration projects that we're working on this year, we already completed one shoreline stabilization up in Pella. That was a biobag project. We also have 6 native plantings planned in our books right now. And we also have a long list of other folks. We're hoping to get some fall plantings put in there as well. We're currently looking to plan our 2027 featured project. So we're trying to do one big project a year. If anyone has any ideas, we would love to hear them. Some options that we're currently exploring are something here on Sunset Island, maybe a big planting or some other practices here. And also over in Cook Park, we're exploring that shoreline as a big planting option as well. And then for 2026, we also have some fish stick installations going in on our Gibson Island project. I believe we have 5 bundles of fish sticks that are going in on the Cloverleaf Lakes. And if you don't know what fish sticks are, we now have Brent coming up to talk about what fish sticks are.
So, yeah, my name is Brent Ritter. I'm a LT Fisheries Technician, advanced out of the Shawano office. I'm gonna talk about fish sticks. So what are they? They're basically structures made of wood, of whole trees, depending on the size. You can do 3 to 5, and then they're typically no smaller than 8-inch diameter. And then these trees are cabled to the shoreline so that they don't float away. So if you don't anchor them, they will float away depending on the species. I mean, typically we like hardwoods because they're more dense and they don't float. So like oak's really good, but like pines, they take a while to get waterlogged. But once they get waterlogged, they'll stay in place. What do they provide? They provide excellent fish habitat and wildlife habitat. So usually there's always turtles on them, birds, frogs. They also provide good habitat for aquatic plants that typically like lily pads and stuff that are easily disturbed from wave action and stuff. They provide important food, shelter, and spawning areas for multiple species of fish. They can also act as shoreline erosion control by absorbing wave energy and slowing water movement near shoreline. They can also stabilize soil and sediment, helping prevent the loss of additional shoreline loss. And depending on where you put them too, they can protect sensitive areas from damage caused by boat waves and heavy recreational use. The planning process, typically you want to find a location. So you do this by scouting either aerial or in person. And typically what we look for is areas that have soil erosion occurring or habitat depleted areas. And then once you find that location, you can begin your process of applying for a permit, in which you need to follow your local, county, state, and federal ordinances. And then once you get the permit in, you can start finding your tree source. Typically we get ours nearby, so ideally to cut costs down, if you can get it from like neighboring property owners, just to keep that cost lower, and then purchase materials like cable, anchoring, ferrules that you need. And then these can be done in winter or summer. Typically we do ours in winter because it's a lot easier to move the trees and there's less erosion problems, so you don't have to worry about disturbing the soil because it's frozen, and it's just easier to work with. And depending on the location of these fish sticks that are installed, the sediment might be soft or like marls, so you sink out of sight. So that's why we typically do ours in the winter, so we don't have to deal with that problem. Okay, and then this is just the general overview of the Horseshoe Island fish stick project on Legend Lake. Yeah, as you can see some of the fish sticks right here. That's our boat. And then you can kind of see like all the erosion. I think at old aerial photos, the island's actually extended out a lot further than that. But so basic overview of this project. Horseshoe Island experienced significant soil erosion over several decades from heavy recreational use, boat traffic, anchoring, and wave action. And then, like I said, I read reports anywhere from like 50 to 100 feet loss of shoreline. Next slide. I guess too, this is a cooperative project with Legend Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District, Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resource, Menominee County Conservation Staff, and I'm sure there's some other partnerships too. But so yeah, this is just a drone photo of our fish sticks. So I believe this one has 8 or 6, but this is taken during the winter. So when we bring our trees in, you can see we plowed our trails and stuff. So we brought the trees in from a property on Legend Lake owned by the Property Owner Association, and mainly we used oaks. So we cut them off and drag them with a truck and chains with rope, and then we get them into position. And then depending on if there's trees along the shoreline, we can use capstan winch or a pulley, or we can use a pulley and use the trucks to pull them to where we want them. Or in this case too, we also had a plow truck that shoved them where we wanted them. And then
How close do you usually place them?
depends on what you want. I don't think there's an actual limit to how far you can put them, but for this case, the main goal was to protect soil erosion, so we wanted to get them tight to minimize that wave action. I actually have a video later in a couple slides, but yep.
What are some of the parameters for getting a permit?
Oh God, I could talk forever on that.
Just a couple. We said someone on our make them himself and put them out, and then we said, no, you need to have a permit.
Yeah, you need a permit, so I know you can't go extend any further than 30 feet from the shoreline, so that's what you're allotted. Because once you get past that, then if they become quote unquote deep water complexes, and that's a whole another thing.
So, but does there have to be a need for one of those to be put in?
Yes, you need a permit to do them.
I mean, a need for the placement of that. I know you need permits does there have to be a need for the,
yeah, I guess part of the process too.
You've lost shoreline.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you put that in like your justification and like the purpose of like, there's a project narrative and you put like, why is this important, stuff like that, and that's one of the things. And then also I know you gotta contact your fish biologist for the county, and they'll work with you and they want this stuff done, so they'll give a good explanation for that. So any other questions?
Like I asked, I asked you a question. We had an ice storm in spring in April. One of the trees on my shoreline, all the ice is on one side.
Yep.
That tree was like this. I'm not sure it was busting to it. I made it 30 feet on taller trees. That one gone in the water. Perfect. What are my obligations to either maintain it or get it out? I mean, it looks like it's this,
Okay.
but it
It
goes out 100 feet. I mean, this is a big white pine.
Well, they can extend out further than 100 feet. What I meant by 30 feet is like, you're only allowed 30 feet from the shoreline, so like where the base starts. So the tree can be 175 feet, it don't matter. But you just can't go past that 30-foot mark from the shoreline to where the base of the tree starts, but the tree can go farther than that. But then you also, depending on where they are, like if it's a smaller channel, you gotta make sure that boats can be navigable. So that's another caveat of that, but yeah, when I meant 30 feet, you only have like 30 feet from the shoreline, just to clarify. So yeah, then this is just a picture showing of the cables and anchors. So we take a power drill and we drill through the trees, and then we run a cable through it, and then there's a metal ferrule and we crimp it down, and then we take the ice auger and drill through the ice, and then we anchor it right into the lake bed. And then you go to the next slide. And then this is just the summer photo from last year showing our trees. And then we also got some brush bundles in here too, which also help prevent wave action and dissipate that energy. Right here, you can see how the wave action is, a lot more intense. And then once you get into here, you can see that these treetops dissipate that wave energy really good. So I guess, and then this is a multi-year project. We started in 2025, and then we were in there this winter, and then we also have some more planned for this upcoming winter, assuming we have stable ice conditions, because that's the only thing about doing these in winter. You have to have stable ice conditions so we can get our trucks on there. But yeah, I guess that's all I had. So
Yeah, so you know, back here.
Yeah, you get to join me up here and be the Vanna White to my Pat Sajak, I guess.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody who volunteers for anything with any of our WAMSCO projects, with wave monitoring, with the CLMN monitoring, going out on dash units, going out and volunteering for point intercept surveys, anything, any of the volunteers, you guys are priceless. So we want to say thank you to all people that are volunteers.
But we want to thank some very specific people as well. So as Shanda said, I'm the water conservation coordinator. I'm pretty new here at WAMSCO, but one of my jobs here is to coordinate volunteer efforts specifically focused on the wave and sea element programs. I love working in streams and lakes, and I also like working with people. So it helps me to get to know you all a little bit better too, but I also get to learn from you as well. So we just wanted to take some time to recognize the folks who are working with us annually and have been working with us for a while across WAVE, CLMN. And then we also, starting this year, have a WAMSCO Volunteer of the Year Award. And one of you is getting it. So you said what? Go for it. First thing we wanted to start with WAVE. So I'll go ahead and list everybody off here. We'll start on the right side just to mix it up. Folks who weren't able to make it, Kaylee, Kafura, Peter Owinski, and Riley Schultz, they all started with us this year. They're doing stuff in the Red River drainage, so we're pretty happy to expand to the western part of the county. A lot of the stuff that we've done in the past has been in the southern or eastern parts, or easterly parts. But we want to welcome Dave and Kathy Littlejohn up to the front. Shanda is going to do the Vanna White of all of this and hand off what they get.
Not as good looking, but
But wait.
I got stuff to hand out.
Yeah. So we just wanted to extend a little thank you to the folks who have been able to come out with us and help this. Dave and Kathy have been with us for 5 years plus so far in terms of going out and doing work on 2 sites on the Chinook Creek watershed. They do both the inlet and the outlet of the lake they live on, Long Lake, which then dumps into the Wolf River. It's a really important little creek that's had a lot of work done on it over the years, and they've been one of the most important volunteers in getting some of the stuff done out there. I was very grateful to be able to learn from them a little bit earlier this year as I was wrapping my head around what the wave monitoring was. Sean, if you could raise your hand as well. I know you're sitting back there. He goes out and helps with them, but he refused to stand up here and be recognized. Not with the little dots. We also want to thank Pat McCain. He's been doing a great job over on the Oconee River, way in the northeast part of the county, getting some good data for us up there in a watershed that we don't have a lot of work in all the time. So he's been doing a great job. All these people I know on this side, so they're just starting, but they're going to do a great job, just like the Little Johns have been. They got some chamber bucks. They get to go spin that around Shawano County, so they get to,
We're always willing to share. Volunteers are welcome.
Yeah.
In the creek anytime.
Yeah, you get to.
And they do a lot of training too. A lot of the new volunteers will come out and join our little group here. And Dave and Kathy and Sean have done a lot of education and training for our new wave volunteers. So we want to thank you for that too. And just a note is they've also been highlighted in some DNR magazines and things like that for a really awesome shoreline restoration project that they did a few years ago. And we even had a group of DNR folks come out and do a tour of Healthy Lakes projects. And when they got to their spot, I couldn't get them back in the boat. So they were taking pictures of every little thing. It was absolutely fantastic. So thank you guys for all of the work that you do. And we really appreciate you.
And next we want to move on to CLMN. We've got a few more volunteers for this one. folks really like doing this. It's a nice excuse to go out and take their boat out on the lake. There's two different levels of CLMN. Everyone can get involved on their lake and do Secchi disc measurements, which essentially tells you how clear your water is in the lake, and it's a good measure of water quality. There's a few more things. If you want to learn more about it, please come and talk to me. I can absolutely talk the ear off about CLMN. But like in WAVE, we have some newbies joining us this year who are taking over or joined relatively recently. Jeff and Greg Gwitt have just taken over sampling on Long Lake, and so they're going to be doing some extra sampling for us this year. They weren't able to make it, but thank you. Mike Stepecki has gone and he's over on Shawano Lake and doing some great work there. And Dick Kohler on Loon Lake, he started last year and has continued on this year. Kevin Goodman is our Cloverleaf Lakes Protection Agency or Association member. So he does all the sampling on Round Lake, Grass Lake, and Pine Lake. He's been really great for us. He's going to be doing some more sampling. And but we really want to take an opportunity to recognize Jenny Schuchting, if she would be so kind as to come up and accept her award. She's been volunteering with us for 10 plus years, basically since the start of this.
15.
Yeah, 15 overall, 10 total with us, 15 plus with CLMN. She was working on a big lake, which is over in the northwest part of the county. She does fantastic work. She, has been working with me on getting all of the chemistry samples done there properly. So we're very thankful to have Jenny as a long-term serving member. We've also had some other really long-term serving members.
So hold on.
Oh,
So
sorry. Yeah.
We just want to recognize Jenny because right now she is our longest serving volunteer.
Well, it's even longer than that, because my son and I started when he was in ninth grade as a project doing milfoil
Awesome.
observations, and then because of that, the two old guards at our lake, Dick Siskey and Ben Seaborn, did it for 10 years before that. And so we inherited the job from him. And the end of the story is that my son is now in August will be defending his dissertation in environmental studies and political science. So it carried on, and he worked with me all through high school, and then in the summers when we came back to college. But so it's something you can do with your kids, and it's so much fun. It really is. And I have two really great lab assistants. One is named Charlie and the other one is named Jocko, and they ride in the back of the boat. The tennis ball.
Awesome. Thank you.
We also wanted to take the time to recognize the folks who've recently handed the baton off to the new folks, which obviously, Dave and Kathy are trying to. They're not allowed to yet, but some folks have passed the baton on. Lloyd Noak, Joseph Moss, and Robert Jansen. Sorry if I mispronounced any of those names, but they weren't able to make it here today. But Richard Wisniewski, who had been monitoring for over 10 years, was able to make it in today, I believe. So thank you so much for coming down and doing all the work that you were doing.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. So we just want to say thank you to Richard too. You are allowed to retire. But we
Eventually.
yeah, but we love it. We have those long-term folks. They can see things before stuff happens, before it gets really big. They notice those little changes and can alert DNR and the folks like that can come in and potentially take some action before things get crazy, and passing batons and training some new folks. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Speaking of passing the baton, Richard recently retired on Lulu Lake for sampling, and we're looking for a new person to take over. So if you would like to go to Lulu Lake and do some boat sampling, talk to me. There we go. Moving onwards to the next one. This is just a little screenshot of what, these different types of sampling could be. There's me over there with Sean and Dave and Kathy. It's also me. But this could be you. You could come out and do some awesome sampling, and you could get to learn a little bit more. I love doing this type of work. I wish that it was a little bit easier for me to get up here all the time to do it. I'm the person to talk to about getting trained on doing these things. It's never too late to get started. It's a little late, but it's never too late to get started. So just please, we're always looking for folks to come out, and it's a way to get to know your waterway a little bit better and feel a little bit more connected, other than just going out and paddling around. But now for the big. Look at this photo. someone is going to be recognized as Volunteer of the Year from this photo. They've been, and it's extremely important member of everything that we got done in 2025 previously and going forward. We just really wanted to take an opportunity to recognize this person for everything that they've done. Would the 2026 Volunteer of the Year please come forward? Joy Krosad. And goes off on a wonderful tangent about Joy. Before she even started with us, she was monitoring as a sea element person on Grass Lake for 15 plus years. She did a bunch of sampling out there over those 16 years. Like she talked about earlier, she's the chair of the Gibson Island Steering Committee and really helped coordinate all the volunteers and all the amazing work that we did on Gibson Island last year. I've gotten to know Joy a little bit and learned stuff from her. She had led a site tour that I got to be out on a few weeks ago and got to really actually experience Gibson Island for myself for the first time. And it really helped me kind of contextualize a lot of the work that you guys have gotten done. And it was really awesome seeing, you know, talking about the switchback on the slope even today. I was like, oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that and how well it worked and all of that. You can see her here on the left. She's doing a great job of communicating at Gibson Island about what is going on. To folks there, her and Shanda go into town. I think this is Shanda. I'm not going into town on the biobags there, and then the countless hours at Shanda's personal greenhouse that she's constructed in her garage, and then 2 more at the hobby farm. She's a Cloverleaf Protection Association member. She's the chair of the Clintonville Area Foundation. She's super involved in the community, and we're really thankful that she's been involved with us as much as she has been over the past few years. She's
not my internet.
She was a teacher, and one of the most important things to her as a teacher was being able to connect with kids and tell them about the importance of nature. And so your point earlier about how the ADA path has helped open it up to families a little bit more readily, I think, what maybe initially wasn't something that you were super excited about going forward, it's something that will continue to help kids learn more about Gibson Island, one of your favorite places. So once again, I know Shanda's going to talk a little bit more, but I'm just really thankful that you were able to be here today and accept this for us.
So Joy has her award there and also some chamber bucks. We also will have this posted. Right now, our offices are at the Chamber of Commerce, Shawano Chamber of Commerce. So this will be up in that building here. And Joy is listed as our very first Volunteer of the Year, and we will continue this year after year, but she will always be on there as our very first Volunteer of the Year. And she also has a swag bag for WAMSCO stuff. So
There's a Volunteer of the Year t-shirt.
Volunteer of the Year 2025.
Wow, there you go. That's a WAMSCO swag.
So, and then other little WAMSCO stuff here, water bottle, backpack to take on your hike, so you are always hydrated when you're working out there on the island. And look, there's even another cup holder there, so when Chris goes out with you, she can have a bottle of water too.
Thank you guys.
But when we first started this project, Chris was very not excited about it. I said, not Chris, I'm sorry, Joy. Chris too, Chris and Joy. We're not very excited about the project and what was going on. And then after it was completed and after they saw all the plants and all the craziness and all the different hurdles that we overcame. Yeah, but you know, she loves that island, loves what we've done. Can't wait for things to continue. And the number of volunteers that she was able to round up for this, 65 different volunteers with over 1,000 hours, is insane for any project. So we just want to thank you for that and for all your continued volunteer efforts. And you've done an amazing job. So thank you.
To add that the cedar post wall was her idea. It was grueling to build that thing, but it is sustaining and it didn't get broken at all. And we're looking forward to it remaining for a long time because we don't want to do it again.
No, that turned out awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you've seen lots of opportunities to get involved. We've talked about all sorts of memberships. We've talked about becoming a volunteer. You can see that we've got a few board members, but we're all like, there's no cap. Please get involved. Like, the way that you can become a board member is you either get nominated by a member, you become a member and nominate yourself if you feel so bold. We're looking for a vice president right now, someone who'll go between these two, right there. So we're definitely looking for some folks to come on and help us build what WAMSCO is gonna be. We're 10 years old now, well, 12, depending on how you want to look at it. And we want to keep going. You know, we've got 30 places on that plaque, and you could be a part of helping figure out who the next 29 people are in terms of the volunteer of the year and what projects we do going forward. So with that,
Mark would also, like to hand off his secretary role, he would be on the board.
yeah,
But he would love somebody to, take that role, so that's a great way for a new board member to learn more about WAMSCO when you're actually taking those notes and putting together those meeting minutes, so, just please reach out to us, contact us, if you know somebody else that is really involved in your area that may be a great board member, even if it's not you. You know, talk to them about that, we've got lots going on and lots of opportunities.
Beth, I'm looking at you. And so with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to Baylie to take us home. She's done a fantastic job helping organize everything with this. You've talked to her in some capacity, most likely, so I'll let her take it away.
So I also wanna thank our members here. We have some great like associations, businesses and individuals who help out every year. If you guys want to become a member, you can stop by our table and we can help you get signed up and let you know what's all entailed in that. But do my slide. But I just want to thank you guys for coming out. Now we have just a little section for questions. So if anybody has any outstanding questions or comments, you guys can let us know and our staff will do our best to answer anything that you guys have.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
There's that, I don't know, yellow flag iris is getting crazy this year by long range. What's the safest way to get it out without damaging the shore? It's right on the edge.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, yellow iris is an invasive plant. It grows on shoreline. I have seen it at Huckleberry Harbor. I've seen it at Shawano Lake, like the county park and everything. If it's growing on a shoreline, I'd say like the best way to do that is to remove, like dig it up from the root and then plant native plants in there because you don't want it to spread or anything. And again, like one thing that we're going to talk about on our river walk later is like, if you have an invasive plant on your shoreline, it's better than nothing. Like you want to make sure that there's something holding your shoreline in. So if you're going to not plant after you take that out, like that's worse than having an invasive plant there. Just so you know, does that?
What would be something like some of them who have, we put in, replace it. Instead of buying all these native plants, and they're cheaper.
Any of our natives.
Yeah, I mean,
Any of the natives that are good in that conditions, I think it depends on the shoreline. If it's a wet shoreline, you pick a species that likes wet feet.
But there's lots of things you can get from seed and just grow real quick and then like plant it for next year. Yeah,
That's very tasty now.
yeah.
yeah, and you can also, you know, try doing the cutting and then doing the chemical on the top end, you kill the plant, just cut it and then add the chemical, so it goes down to the roots and it just kills that plant. It is a lot of work when you have a big area like that, because you don't want to really spray any plant killer right next to the lake, because you don't want it to damage the aquatic issues either.
Okay.
But cutting and gathering is the.
Anything else off the top of your guys?
You have anything else, Dean?
Looks like I rush to do something to look there.
That would be really great.
Yeah.
Specifically like towards lakes and waterways, does anybody have any like other specific problems that they're seeing on their lakes that they kind of want to discuss with other members of other like associations or other waterfront property owners?
Eurasian Watermilfoil.
Yes, yeah.
That's probably a bigger topic than just a good conversation.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those things that is never, you're gonna be hard pressed to get rid of. So your goals have to be reasonable, that you can get to it. You're not gonna ever eliminate everything. The biggest thing in DNR is now changing their mindset on treating invasives to treating it only when it becomes a hazard or impacts navigation. Hand pulling, in your area by, the shallows, by your docks and your piers and boat lifts and things like that. It's really great to keep it from spreading there. When you see floating little pieces from boats, either paddling, swimming, or motors. I know a lot of people blame it all on motorboats, but a kayak or paddling can rip off little pieces that are slimmer as well.
Actually, I read too that they complicated with the bones and breaking off pieces of them, so.
They do that naturally. Yeah, they do that naturally. In the fall,
No, yeah.
yep, in the fall is the biggest part or the biggest time that they spread. When they're in the spring when stuff gets thrown off, those can propagate, but they're more apt to in the fall than they are.
Has anybody used that harvester very successful?
Was that?
Has anybody used that harvester? Such a amazing is nothing.
Oh, I know Legend Lake, as you start to, numbers of year.
Use that.
Yeah, we use that.
The question of you, last year, we had first year back in the lake and several years later. I don't think it was any Eurasian Watermilfoil or anything like that. There may have been, but there wasn't much. This year, the water clarity is, the water is awesome. Now I got no. So that with function, there was some nights about the lake. We're running out of loose, and I'm gonna get out there and take it out. But it is very noticeable. Trees, filters, and the water, really. Always something.
I don't know what it is, we did a survey last fall and didn't find sufficient milfoil that you need even map out a sub polygon to treat. And we came back this spring and it's wild. We've got a tremendous amount of Curlyleaf Pondweed, which we had done survey last spring and found a couple of patches and addressed them. It's gone nuts. We got incredible, we got an incredible amount of Eurasian Watermilfoil in a number of cases mixed in with the Curlyleaf Pondweed.
That's probably good at.
Bad and.
Yeah, that's bad guy. The Curlyleaf Pondweed peaks in the spring and goes dormant about now. It drops these little turians, like little acorns. And
little pine cones on the top of the tree.
and then they turn black.
Yeah.
But, the Curlyleaf Pondweed is gone nuts. Our dash is working 2 days a week and we're removing an incredible amount of plants. And we are shocked at the difference between the fall survey and what we're seeing this spring. We're seeing milfoil plants that are 4 feet, 5 feet tall. We would never see that until late in the summer. So.
It's like that weird perfect storm for that. And the Curlyleaf, those durians can stay buried for 5+ years and they come up when they when they want to, and they decide that, oops, there's no other plants here, let's, yeah.
Well, I think we mentioned before, breaking out pieces of the milfoil. Well, my plan was to break it out.
You want to make sure that you have, when you see the stuff that's floating, make sure you have like a pool net, and you just skim that out.
No, but you have to get the root ball, you have to get the root,
Yeah.
otherwise you're just, mowing your lawn.
If you don't get the root ball, it sort of sends down an oxygen. And then the roots grow, it's a plant hormone, and it's a growth promoter, it sends out extra things, and you're actually spreading. Well, so you have to dig down, we have a landscaping rake, and you drill a hole in the head of the lake, rather than head of a handle, so that it sinks. And I have a rake, and I throw it out there, and it sinks and fills up with water, And that goes down and when you pull it up, you can see it's getting blue balls underneath. And then I pull it to the surface, I go through it carefully before my husband and I would not tell us ability. And then I think that works fairly well, especially if you stay on it. If you let it go for any minute, there's time. And then you disturb that area, it seems to come back even faster. So you just move, every week, it's like, I don't know.
That you want them to regulate.
Yeah, but if you.
Well, how deep is the water?
All you know is I just got to walk up over my head and not step out deeply. Now,
Which direction do you fish? Or wind flow from, ice rivers, people who have north boats or?
I'm real on letting that lake, so I get more use of us.
For a lot of things, I've made from surface to water, from various reasons, so that's how it goes. We have this.
One of the things that we have that, Floyd with lakes, and we've had for years, we've gone through the DNR programs with, treatments and through the process of that, grants and what 2 years ago with the fundraising campaign. And because the original closed with that, and I was working on the dashboard and Pete Carlson was sucking it all up. It's coming up covered as, this, and but we got red, there are some places the lever muscle is attaching to the Eurasian milfoil. And it gets to the point, a tipping point where it'll collapse on the bottom. And lo and behold, the zebra mussels were killing the Eurasian milfoil because it was collapsing down and then it was covering itself. And the weight, and then it was gone. It, like last year, no.
The zebra mussels are invasive.
Oh,
Yeah, I must have had them open the single muscles.
But that's the only good thing about it, because the zebra mussel can't get rid of them, there's nothing. But they keep the water clear and that usually made the Eurasian milfoil go faster. So this was a benefit we found that we never expected. That they collapsed the plants.
Well, we found a lot of zebra mussels on Eurasian Watermilfoil, but it hasn't been to the benefit of,
It didn't collapse.
no. I mean, it'd be really cool if it did, but I don't, that hasn't been our experience, so.
are you talking
Good for you.
Cloverleaf Lakes here?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking
He's
Cloverleaf
on
Lakes?
the chocolate and she's on bottom.
I'm in Menominee County and she's in.
Yeah, we don't have them yet. We're trying really hard not to, and that's why we really push for anybody on the lakes that they live on, really push for folks to make sure that their boats are clean and they've been disinfected and, you know, that we're not carrying in those other critters from other places. And you'll always see folks that come in from, you know, they'll let their buddies bring their kayaks or their fishing boats in and, you know, oh, they were just down in the Wolf River, or they were just out on Shawano Lake, or they were just here or there, that have other things, you know, and like your zebra mussels and your spiny water, or water things. You know, those half the time you can't see with the naked eye when you're looking at their eggs or in the larval stage, you can't even see them, you know, so it's like, oh yeah, that looks clean, put it in, and it's like, you know, make sure it's really disinfected. So that helps with your spread, and also the water, you know, whether it's a village or your live well or anything like that, you know, making sure you get all the water drained. But yeah, as far as the milfoil this year, it just seems like in most places it's gone crazy, and I'm sure it has something to do with the nice cold winter that we had. Or, you know, a lot of the ice cover for a long time, but then we had that big warm up, we had that massive flooding and lots of warm weather and sunshine. And a lot of the lakes are clearer, where Long Lake had the algae blooms in the spring historically, for the last 10 plus years or 10 years. We usually it was a dog days summer, and this year we got a toilet bowl flush with flooding. So we'll just have to see what happens there. But yeah, milfoil is just a beast to get rid of. But I will tell you, in some places when you do when you do remove a lot of it, a lot of times will get a native that comes back, but acts like, and
Well,
it's
if you get, initially, you get non-Maston. Because we had Maya, which is it's a native plant, so
Yeah.
that's very different, and it doesn't respond to things you just, and it's not a bad thing.
yeah,
It just means that it was affected by Eurasian Watermilfoil.
yeah.
Now it's available. People get freaked out about it because they've never seen it before. Because
Yeah.
They don't really know anything because it's such sort of concentration of population. But I do have a question, and that is, if those, I mean, we treated with Priscillicor, is another lake here that treated with Priscillicor? Because we had a question about the application in terms of, the Priscillicor hangs out at a certain point in water column. Sense, right? And so when they treated, they did not do a thermal, and they didn't do a temperature variation. So
Oh,
we were wondering if maybe, and so they treated with Priscillicor, and it was good the first year, and then the second year, it was not so good, and now we're still under the warranty, you know, 1 more year. And you have to have kind of caught between hard place, rock and a hard place, because the DNR says you have to have a minimum of 5 acres. And they all have to be in one spot, and I understand why that is, but we have less than 5 acres. That any individual spots can be various that are high density.
I don't think it's the DNR, I don't think it's the DNR that's defining whether or not you're
It's
under
not,
warranty.
they did initially.
Well, no, I think it's Priscillicor, well, the name of the company is not Priscillicor.
Yeah.
It's an
That's
acronym.
the kind
Yeah, but, you know, that's the wording of their warranty.
right.
So,
But they don't say that they have to have a time. The DNR says that they suggest that a timeline is done, because we also treated a P4D back in the day, and I did the time, I did the.
yeah, so did I. And we
Yeah.
did 2,4-D and we rigorously monitored concentrations for, I think, 40.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. But for Priscillicor, that, the effective time span for that is like hours. You know, that doesn't hang around at all.
Is that an herbicide or is that something?
It's
that fire
a-
life-
It's an herbicide, but the point I wanted to make is for your warranty, it has to come back at a certain percentage of the acreage, and they want to see what happened in the specific spot where you treated.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were fortunate. We had a fabulous result for over 3 years. So we never got into this question of, you know, warranty or non-warranty. To me, the bigger issue is the DNR's change in philosophy with regard to allowing herbicide treatments.
right.
That might be a bigger problem than,
We were required to have that thermal climate.
yeah, and we did.
Initially, but now they're saying, and you look back over our permitting process for this last treatment, and it said that they suggested that, yeah, one that's done, wasn't a requirement for one that's.
Yeah, we, when we did ours, it was required and we did.
Yeah. Like, you and I should always just.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I
But
think,
it is one of those things. I don't know of many lakes out there, anyway, there are a handful, but that aren't dealing with Eurasian Watermilfoil. And trying to get rid of it and all the hybrids and all the craziness that's coming around with that now.
This
Yeah, the hybrids.
suggestion for Big Lake, have you ever tried doing any type of education for homeowners
Oh my
around?
gosh, you've done so much education.
Okay.
You know, it's a volunteer, it's a private lake, number one.
Right.
And in our association, there are actually 90 property owners, of which 88 are members of the association, but only about 40 come to the meetings. And so we have a newsletter, we've taught people how to actually clean it up properly. But some people, we get, you know, a couple of houses that have a little over 90 living in them, and so
Makes sense.
the ability to clean that up, you know, someone else has to do it, and I've done it for them a couple of years, but, you know, I take care of another one too, besides my own property, so it's just a lot.
Yeah, can't make everybody care, so
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
a challenge.
Not everybody cares, and not everybody, you know, uses the lake in the same way. They use the lake, so in the same, so. And then we've also had, and I don't know if you guys have seen, we've had some rental properties that went to Airbnb. Which changes some of the things that happen. Which brings into question, we never had boat traffic the way we have boat traffic.
Right.
So.
There is this new thing that WAMSCO's teaming up with some other organizations in the Northeast Wisconsin area. And we're doing more AIS outreach prevention, like education stuff to resorts, and we're including Airbnbs in that too. So at some point, I'll probably reach out to you guys and ask like which are the Airbnbs or resorts that you have, and I can distribute stuff there.
Porkers and pitchforks work really good. Just not saying.
That was a good conversation. Kind of just looking at, after listening a little bit about what WAMSCO does, does anybody have any specific like projects or things that they'd like to see in the community or like on your lake? If you want time to think about it or ask us questions in person, you can always just come up to our table and we can talk about opportunities for like individual private projects and then big community ones as well. It's always looking for some new ones.
And Baylie, we have an interest, do we have a sign up like interest form?
We do have an interest form. Yes, you can always put your contact information in there and we can get back to you at any point, and get some conversation rolling on that. Kind of to wrap up here, we're getting to our time. We want to end on a little positive note. So I want to ask anybody if there's a favorite waterway that you have in Menominee and Shawano counties. Personally, I love the Red River. I love floating down the Red River. But if anybody just wants to share, you can feel free. Your favorite thing about that waterway?
Go outside of your own lake.
Yeah, I know some of you guys are biased, but
The Embarrassed River is absolutely beautiful.
lovely, yeah.
And so particularly the area at Holland.
Mhm.
No, Sturgeon spot. It's a
Yeah.
really unique place.
I was at Hammond Falls the other day. I was like, I just love it here. This is amazing.
I
Yeah.
like the Toledo Falls area with all of the work that we've done over there and seeing that restored. Is absolutely beautiful. You want to see a really massive project that has been extremely successful and is fairly new, but absolutely beautiful. Check out Toledo Pond.
Anyone else? You can always just think about it too. Leave with that. We can go to the next slide. Thank you guys for attending. Now, what, do we have an exact time for what it is now?
It is currently 11:37.
11:37, awesome. So this educational Riverwalk is scheduled for 11:45. I think I don't want to keep the plant sale for too long, so if you guys want to go buy some plants, Chris did a great job at explaining all the benefits of some great plants. If you're inspired by her presentation, you can go buy some of those. Support Three Springs Native Nursery. They're in Clintonville if you guys wanted to stop by their nursery at any point. We do have little eval forms. This is our first year doing an annual meeting in person like this, open to the public, so we'd love to get some feedback from you guys. But we'll head out to that river walk at like 11:50ish, which should be 10 to 15 minutes. Get you guys out of here by noon for some lunch. Sun drop day is going on today, so that'll be a great event to hop over to. But yeah, we want to thank you guys all for coming. It was a great day. And hope to see you guys at more WAMSCO events.
Yep.
Thank you.